Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
We're going streaking!
Dave's Video Graveyard.
That guy in little clothes. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm not a smart man.
Shut up!
One tubby.
What's wrong with him?
My first thought would be alive.
Why so serious?
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
Of all the radio shows in the world, this is definitely one of them. Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOW FM.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
100.5 WOW FM. It is Dave's Video Graveyard for a Monday evening. An absolute pleasure to be with you. Tonight we're doing the first of something new, Grant. How you doing, dude?
Good. How are you?
So tonight we thought we'd try and get away from picking the same movies that we pick.
We do that a lot, don't we?
We do, every week. So we've decided to go with the guest choice, and our first guest
I'm excited.
has pretty much picked a list of films that we would have picked. It's fantastic.
A real life wrestler tonight.
We do. Tonight we will be talking and catching up with Wayne the Maniac Mattei, and it's going to be pretty awesome because you and him have a bit of beef that you need to squash.
Luckily, I didn't hurt him too much, so he's made it to the studio tonight.
Do you think a lot of it comes back to him being scared of you?
I think so. I think everyone's scared of me.
I think we should.
Weetabix in the morning, you know.
We should definitely explore that when he gets in here and just maybe put it to him and see what he thinks about it. So yeah, tonight we've got a man who is very, very. I guess you could say he split the Australian wrestling scene because it's a bit of a love or a hate kind of thing going on with Wayne, and does not care. He is who he is, and we'll talk to him a bit about that tonight. We might go to our first song, and we will be coming back with Wayne the Maniac. This is Dave's Video Graveyard. 100.5 WOW FM, Dave's Video Graveyard. Currently 8:06 in beautiful Semaphore. Nice warm day, getting ready for summer.
Oh, it's beautiful today.
Now, right now, I'm staring at a professional wrestling belt. Not often that I'm in this studio staring at a professional anything.
This is the first ever time I've seen an actual wrestling belt.
It is pretty excited. And the reason the belt is here, other than to keep up someone's pants, we currently have the AWA Heavyweight Champion, AAW Heavyweight Champion, the Southern Cross Champion, and an AAW Hall of Famer in the studio. He's a little bit shaky this evening because you've kind of put him off his game by intimidating. But we are joined by Wayne the Maniac. Wayne, how you doing?
G'day, fellas. How you going? And Grant, as always, remember the pleasure's all yours, buddy.
Oh, man, you are getting me in trouble, Dave. I'm scared.
These are all things you said when Wayne wasn't... This is everything you said last week when Wayne wasn't here.
Dave has been causing trouble over
I don't know about that. So tonight's our first of guest choice. Yeah. So why don't we learn a little bit about our guest. Wayne, you're a local boy, but you're a pro wrestler. How'd you get into that?
Geez, this is a fair while to think back now. I remember I did security. Well, I still do security, but I did it many, many years ago for a wrestling show here in Adelaide. And standing ringside, basically, on the runway, stood there all night, had kids coming up, taking pictures of me, asking when I was going to get into the ring. And I had to tell them that I wasn't part of the show, unfortunately. I was just there doing security. At the end of the show, the promoters come up to me. I said to him, how did you find everything? He was happy with everything except for one point. I said, okay, what was that? He goes, it was you. He goes, you took the attention away from the ring. I said, okay, I apologise, I'm sorry. Because it was my company, I wanted to keep the contract because I loved wrestling too, so I wanted to make sure that we had it. So he said, look, we have an option on what we can do for you if you like. And I said, great, what is it? He said, we'll put you in the ring. I said, let's go, baby.
Awesome.
Sweet. Now, as I said, you're a local guy, but you travel all over Australia and internationally. You upset a lot of people along the way, if Google is to go anything by. So you burn a lot of bridges, I believe.
Well, That's what happens, unfortunately. There's a lot of people that'll love you, and you got just as many that'll hate you as well. So you take the love with the hate.
Yeah.
I enjoy the hate more. I think it's good because if you're talking about me, I don't care. You are still talking about me.
True,
Sweet.
yeah.
Now, we got you to pick 12 of your favourite movies. How hard was this list to narrow down?
When you first asked me to do it, to get it off the top of my head, it was like, oh, geez, what am I going to pick? But then once it started, it was just like vomiting. It just came out.
I must say, you've got some big names of the 80s.
There's some
We've got,
great movies
got
on
some
this list.
Seagal,
Really,
we've got some Willis, Russell.
Stallone.
Just all guys, just movies with guys
that's a real
named that.
man's
No
list,
one
isn't it?
famous. Just bloke named
Just
Russell.
manly names.
So we might play our first song as we get into the first two picks that you went with. So let me just find the song and we'll get moving.
Let's do it.
All right, this is 100.5 WOWFM. Semaphore's WOWFM. There we heard.
I am psyched.
A lot of shadow boxing going on in the studio tonight. Bit of shadow wrestling as well.
Yeah.
Just
how do you shadow wrestle?
You
just pretend to
you
pick
just
each other up?
shadow Razor's Edge.
I'm ready to swing a chair. Don't worry.
Oh man.
Now the first two. Well, we'll start with the first. The first choice on your list is the 1982 film Rocky III. Now, you didn't go with one or two, and Grant and I actually talked a little earlier tonight. We're pretty sure the reason being is the first one was such an underdog story that it became such a cliche. It's been done to death in a million other films with the first two.
It's the Oscar-winning
third
classic,
one.
but these ones are the best.
The third one, they had to throw a spanner in the works. They had to change, what was going on.
Yeah.
Because they were paving the way.
Yeah.
Like, nothing had come before it in the way of massive sport underdog stories like this. Why'd you pick it?
Well, look, first of all, probably it's the one that I remember, especially at that age. Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, I was still rather young, and my dad had watched 1 and 2, and he thought they were, the best thing since sliced bread. You've got to watch it. Yeah, righto. So, in essence, Rocky 3 was coming out at that time, and, of course, Mr. T is in there. You've got Hulk Hogan in there. I'm a wrestling fan, so I'm sold from the get-go.
Yeah.
Sylvester who? Who cares?
How unbelievable is it when he picks up Hulk Hogan? Like, there's no way. He's struggling in that. Do you remember that scene? He's really struggling to lift
You know
him.
what,
He's
though?
about 5
It
foot
can be
tall,
done if you post the right way. If you come here.
No, don't forget it'd be hard to pick me
right.
up. Are you asking me to pick you up? I don't think that happened.
He's a funny boy.
So that was part 3. But then part 4, I think, in everyone's minds, that's the one that sticks out.
It really does.
It put Dolph Lundgren on the map. He went on to become He-Man, where he almost had to be dubbed because of his accent being so bad. But this one's fantastic, and spoiler alert, which we forgot to give, but basically...
It's an emotional one as well.
Starts with Apollo Creed fighting Drago from Russia.
Rocky tells him he's past it, he's done, you can't beat this guy.
Yeah, and it's all basically just an exhibition match.
Yep.
And Apollo dies in the ring.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Haven't seen it, Dave.
Spoiler alert from 1985.
I definitely went out to get the protein shake at that time. I missed it. Always. Wow.
So you've watched all the other Rocky movies going, any minute now he's going to be back. You wait. Apollo Creed's
Where did
back.
Creed go? I'm like, what's... The dude's got a milk run or something and taken off.
Now, one thing, you may know this because you have somewhat an extensive knowledge of martial arts and boxing and whatnot. Is there really a training method where you run in a big circle and punch a boxing bag as you go past? Because it makes sense to me as an avid sports person. That makes sense to me.
Well, no. To be honest, no. I mean, I'm thinking about how many times I would tear my pectoral off my shoulder tie and join as I strike the bag running full pelt round in a circle. So, no.
Well, while we're shattering people's dreams, are there robots that can serve you all your tea and dinner and have an 80s synth pop vibe to it?
Well, I'd like to think so, especially with that voice. Once he changed the voice, I was like, where do I plug in?
Upon revisiting this film, that's probably the one bit where you're like, what is this film?
It kind of didn't need to be in the film, did it?
And let's face it, for a long time, Rocky 4 was the last good Rocky for a very, very long time.
Yeah, wasn't
because
5
Rocky
terrible?
5 was a big, massive steamer.
Was it Tommy Gunn and The bare knuckle fight at the end, it just wasn't.
Yeah, the street
wasn't a
fight.
good film,
The street fight, it was so bad.
Nah,
But Rocky IV was made for a budget of $28 million, which that was even nothing
That's
given the
not much,
names
is it?
that
Yeah.
Rocky
It
had.
must have made a killing. What was
It
the
went on
profit?
to make 300,000.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
the best one out of all American.
It's
I love
it's
Rocky
iconic.
Yeah, it really
Definitely.
is.
Everyone knows it.
Yeah.
And it was right in the height of the Cold War fear
That's
and everything.
it.
So everything was
That big
Russia
speech he
versus
gives at the
America.
end.
Yeah.
If I can change, you can change. We can all change. Everyone's happy. Everyone's all together.
I'm not changing.
And see, it was Chubbs Peterson's final role as Apollo Creed. I call him Chubbs Peterson
like
from
I'm like, wait, hold on.
from Happy Gilmore. Come on.
That's right, yeah, Chubbs Peterson.
Nothing upsets people more than when you reference a lesser-known film as why you know the character.
Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
There we go.
Dylan.
Yeah,
Dylan.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's how I handshake people, you know.
Yeah.
Do you want to try? No, don't worry about it.
So yeah, you picked two Rocky films to
He's being
start.
into me.
So you're really into the really unknown films, I see.
Absolutely, you know, the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Yeah, that genre, you know.
Yeah.
What did you think overall of the story arc? Like, obviously, we said 5 was really terrible.
Yeah.
But then I feel it was done justice with Rocky Balboa coming out.
I liked
And
Balboa.
that was the end of the story for me.
Yeah.
That's where it all come to a close. But then, obviously, with Creed coming out,
Creed.
they're like, nope,
Yeah,
there's more
Rocky's
money in
back.
this.
And we got another coming
Yes,
soon.
yeah.
There's another one as
So,
well.
yeah. No, I was just glad to see that Rocky would lose and lose gracefully, and
When
they
is the
leave it
world?
like that.
Yeah.
When's the world going to get a Clubbers spin-off?
They have to, but have you seen him lately?
No. Oh, actually,
Real bad.
he's on that terrible show that my
World's
kids
Craziest
watch.
Fools?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
Nah, he
That
should come back.
conversation took a turn to quality. So, yeah, they're the first two choices. We might move on to our next song, leading us into the next choice with Wayne the Maniac here on Dave's Video Graveyard.
Yeah.
Dave's Video Graveyard here on WOWFM. While that song was playing, Wayne and Grant had the first of their physical challenges, and they had an arm wrestle. I'm not going to
He's
trying
trying to cause trouble.
I'm not going to say how it ended, but
It was like the Fly when Jeff Goldblum snaps that guy's arm.
I thought it was more like the end of Rocky 2, and it ended on a painting of a freeze frame of his arm wrestling. It took me ages to paint that, you guys.
He kept moving.
So there we heard from Ice-T with the song Lethal Weapon, because the next movie that's been
The
picked
next movie.
is Under Siege.
Is Under Siege.
Not really. It's Lethal Weapon from 1987.
Oh, that's a classic.
A film we've covered quite extensively.
We have actually,
Danny
haven't we?
Glover, Mel Gibson. Why'd
Gary
you pick
Busey.
it? Gary Busey. Crazy Gary Busey.
Classic old school movie again of
Yeah.
Gibson just being a nutcase. It's perfect.
Well, that's one thing that I've
does
said
it well,
before
doesn't it?
about this film is it could not get made in 2017, even though it did get made into a TV show last
is
year,
terrible.
which
It's
don't even
awful.
bother.
No.
But he clearly has real identifiable mental
Issues.
He's
Big time
barely
issues.
acting, isn't he? He's-
which
yeah.
it was almost that's what that was his defining hero like badass moments was
When,
that he didn't care.
Yeah.
And it's like nowadays it'd be like, no, you really that's a path that we're not going to go down at all.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fantastic.
Shane Black. Is this written by Shane Black?
Shane
We're
Black,
talking
directed
about
by
him,
Richard
he's a
Donner of
genius
Superman
screenwriter.
fame.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is such a fantastic film. And let's just think, this is the first time that Danny Glover was too old for this shit. Then he just kept doing it.
Yeah.
They were even
Kept
fighting.
talking about it. We kept
They were
doing it.
fighting Jet Li before they were finished.
Yeah, that's a
the
powerful
love
one.
affair
That was a
those
good
two
one.
had
Yeah.
was
Joe
just
Pesci was in the fold
strong
later on.
connection.
Yeah.
So why'd you pick this one, right?
Look, it's something that resonates with me. I think that, I can see a part of myself in Riggs as well, just being loose at some point.
That you're Australian, right?
That I'm Australian, I had beautiful long flowing hair,
It's
handsome as all hell.
definitely the mullet, I'd
Yeah,
say.
definitely. That's exactly what it is.
1987, made on a budget
year I was
of
born.
15 million. The year you were born.
Year I was born.
You know what I was doing in that year?
No.
No, don't worry.
Was it your 40th birthday?
Oh!
Cheap shot
Wow.
from Grant.
Wow.
Why did you say that?
Why would I say
Why did you put on an Aussie
Sitting
accent?
so close to me as well.
That's it.
Please don't put me through the wall.
When I have to repair any damage in the studio,
Yeah,
so
that's it.
can
It's
you
all
make
on
sure
Dave.
you don't, guys?
Yeah.
Went on to make $120 million and spawn an absolute franchise. Shane Black also went on to be
have
a
a great career,
powerhouse.
yeah.
Richard Donner had already done Superman, so it really
He
didn't
did
really
the
matter what
Goonies
he
as well, didn't he?
Goonies.
He did the Goonies,
He was
yeah.
he almost did the Lost Boys too, but
The
that's
Lost
another
Boys.
song.
Wow.
So,
Joey Pesci, though. Leo
Isn't he
gets.
hilarious in this?
Leo gets.
funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think a bit of that had to do with the success of Eddie Murphy as Beverly Hills Cop. They
You think
needed a
the
wisecracker to
Yeah.
bring, because at the time it was an action, but the way Shane Black wrote was it still had comedy in there,
Yeah.
but it was still straight out an action
Yeah.
film. But then Beverly Hills Cop flipped everything, and it's like, oh, we're all now have to be 50% comedy, 50%
and
thing.
action, yeah.
And Shane Black's like, I've been doing that, but we don't need basically a comic relief character, which
Yeah.
I didn't like Leo. I'm putting it out there. That's
didn't
just
like
my
him?
call.
That's harsh.
You didn't like him. He's hilarious. I just
I didn't
love
like
the scenes.
it was
when they're
Chris
just
Rock,
messing with
wasn't
him.
it, when they brought him in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
Chris Rock came in.
I didn't get that one.
Yeah.
Shark jump right there.
Yeah.
But also he's a Green Beret. It's always
There's
always a
always some
policeman that
sort of
was a
military
special
background.
forces
Hey,
guy.
you've all got that little tattoo on your forearm. That's the giveaway.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Just like the A-Team movie.
Just like the A-Team movie.
They're all Rangers.
That's it, they are, aren't they? That movie wasn't very good, though.
But I just
Was it? I did not like that movie.
I'm not ragging on the military in any way or know anything about it, but I've never done
Yeah.
any activity with a group of people where I liked them no matter what. So when you see all these movies where it's like, oh, we serve time together in like this country and we're bonded for life,
Yeah.
even though we don't. I know people that like I went away for a weekend with. I'm like, I'm never going to talk to that person. I wouldn't cross the road to avoid that guy because I don't want to even acknowledge he exists.
Yeah.
These guys are jumping out of helicopters and stuff for each other.
I'm not going
I
to talk
need
to
that
Grant
bond.
again after I leave here either. So
man.
don't worry.
Well, he actually said you probably won't talk to him afterwards because you won't be conscious. But that's just his words, not mine.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He's trying to
Yeah,
start
I'm
a
in
fight.
between the door and the exit, so he's
Yeah.
in trouble, I think.
Yeah, I'm actually.
Can't go around him, have to go through it.
Exactly.
All right,
Like
we
Epsom
might
salts.
we might move on to our next film. This is Dave's Video Graveyard with our special guest Wayne the Maniac. You can also check out Wayne's stuff. Where would the best place be? Head along to the Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram under Hell's Vigilante. Facebook, you've got Wayne the Maniac, Mattei's page, or the Bullet Clicks page. Yep.
Oh, that's one thing we didn't touch on. You are the leader of the Bullet Click, which is a stable of wrestlers spread out all across Australia. Some big names in there.
2 international members now in the US as well.
Sweet. And we won't go too much into it, but a little bit of controversy with the starting of the Bullet Click.
That's exactly what we wanted. That's why it was created. Controversy creates cash, I believe, is Eric Bishop's mantra.
Yep.
Not that we could quite get the cash that Bishop
Well,
got.
worst case, controversy sells T-shirts.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and they're flying out the door. Trust us, we got that much merch that goes. It's exactly what we're after. So no, it's worked to a T.
Fantastic. No pun intended, or
No.
pun fully intended. This is Dave's Video Graveyard with Grant and his little friend, Wayne the Maniac. 100.5 WOWFM. There we heard from Jamie Foxx and Guru in Common. Any given Sunday, taken from the...
Ernie Given Sunday? Sorry.
It's a Sesame Street spin-off. Any given Sunday,
Oh, was that your Al Pacino impression? That's
Yeah,
what that
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Any Given Sunday from 1999, directed by Oliver Stone, who I know from
Natural Born Killers.
the
Next
Doors movie.
Yeah.
So this was your next choice, 1999, Al Pacino.
Yeah. Finally, a movie about American football that depicted it for real, as in what happened behind the scenes in the locker room.
Are you saying
off
that
the field.
Are you saying that Burt Reynolds didn't do the sport justice in
Mean Machine? The original Mean Machine? Wow. Well, that was played in a prison, that one. So
what? All gridirons not played in a prison.
well, you don't really want to drop the ball in the prison game, that's for sure.
Last Boy Scout, so you can't ride a horse with a gun. So yeah, it definitely. One thing I found is it glamorized every aspect of American football because it wasn't just the good; it was the bad.
Yeah,
like
right.
you know, the highs were super high, but the lows were super low, and it really it portrayed that. And I feel it kind of like with any film that does really well. It paves way for all the other films to jump on the bandwagon. So that's when you had the likes of the remake of The Longest Yard, The Replacements, and a heap of other gridiron movies. Even to a degree, it's almost like an adult's version, the sporting side of it, an adult version of Jerry Maguire, where it's it's more so sport is a sport. It's not just what's played on the ground. And it features about 5 Pacino pepping up the team, and it's one of those things where they're losing at halftime, and he does his talk, and they go out. And that's it. They go out and win, but like someone has a career-ending injury, kind of thing. So it's like your archetypal like underdog story, but it's like, but this guy will never walk again, and it's
just send him into the medic. The doctor always fixes him for the next game. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's it.
The magic spray and everything.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, here, take this needle. You'll be fine next week. The week after, your leg will fall off. But we're going to win next week.
Game. Yeah.
One more game.
Did you? You're somewhat of an imposing figure physically. Were you ever tempted to play American style football?
I actually tried out here in Adelaide many years ago. I had some friends that I used to bounce with at nightclubs that played for a local team, and one of our good mates was, I don't know if he was a coach at the time, but he was a high-ranking player as well. So I went out there and I tried out for it, and I got my ass handed to me. I was like, wow, these guys are real. So I kind of gracefully said, thanks very much. I love the gear. It looks really cool, but no, I'm good.
Yeah.
and called it a day.
What a
wow, that's a movie right there.
Let's
get Al Pacino signed on.
Give me a steel chair any day.
Now, so this was 1999. Were you a fan of the cinema, or were you a big video hirer / DVD hirer?
Yeah.
Tell us your history with watching movies.
I can remember back when I was a kid, even we'll go all the way back to the first Star Wars. I saw that 17 times at the Glenelg Cinema on Jetty Road, where you had to walk up the stairs, up the spiral staircase thing into the cinema. And I think I saw every Star Wars film at least 15 to 17 times. My mum was bored stiff every time she had to take me. In the end, she knew I was safe and old enough. I'd get the popcorn, the Coke. She'd go on, darling, there you go. I'll see you in about an hour or so. And she'd come back and get me. So I used to love going to the movies, the smell of the popcorn, being sitting there with your ice cream, the big screen, and then you forget real life for 2 hours.
Yeah.
DVD's a different whole kettle of fish. You go there, you choose the movie in the DVD store, you go home, you're in your own surrounding, and you watch the film.
Yeah.
So cinema for me was more of a must than anything else. But then videos came out, so then you could have it at home, you could have it, faster, or you didn't have to see it with a whole bunch of people you didn't know. So
yeah.
I'd still go to the cinema.
You looked at me when you said, like, with nobody that you know, with no friends. And then you looked at me, looked sad, wiped one tear from your eye, and continued.
Get emotional sometimes.
I've heard you speak before a little bit about this, but you were a big wrestling video fan, which that was a hard thing to do in Australia, particularly back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, because you were... Even the at-home videos were so hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, and so expensive.
Yes, definitely. It was
so
like
expensive.
40, 50, 60 bucks
really?
For a single video.
There was a place on Anzac Highway now, correct me if I'm wrong, Roxy Video, I think it was called, just up from South Road.
Right near the underpass.
Yeah, it's now a dance school or something or other. It's completely empty with just a floor where people learn to dance and that. But I remember my parents used to go there all the time to hire our not DVDs, our videos, in fact. And we, in fact, started back in Beta.
Wow.
Years and years at Betamax.
You sure it wasn't just shadows on a cave wall?
A few sticks and a couple of bones. So we had Betamax first, and then we were lucky enough that we eventuated. Dad had a win at the races, and we got a VHS. So, but yeah, we used to go to Roxy Video. They would have the WWE pay-per-views up on the wall there to hire and so on. And so I started doing that, but then I started talking to the guy behind the counter and... how do you get them? It's in the end, it was $100 a video, I would get it as soon as they come out like that, and then I'd own it, and I was the king. Because every kid at school would come around, can we watch Survivor Series with you? I don't know if I like it that much, but,
Wow, that was back in the days where it wasn't viable to buy a video. Like, I remember I was collecting videos in the $30 a piece day, and even then, it was like, that was my pocket money for a few weeks.
Everything spent on one video.
First Batman, Michael Keaton, $150 it cost me.
1989.
Yeah.
Wow.
From the video store, $150.
What?
Well, that explains why whenever you used to, return it late or lose one, they'd charge you that.
Yeah.
You're like, what are you talking about? Especially in the later days where it's like, it's $4 for this on DVD. why are you charging me $60?
Yeah.
That's loss of revenue. No, it's not.
Do you know how much that cost me?
We might move straight on. I was going to play a song, but because you just keep raving on.
We're getting straight into the next film.
Grant,
shut up.
So sorry.
Grant, have a word to your mate next song. And
we're on radio, mate, so shut up, all right? It's oxymoron.
The next film is from 1990 and chosen by Wayne. It stars Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was in Broken Hill last month. He was. Which makes no sense.
Hardly anyone everyone's annoyed at that.
It is...
Because he went up to the Mad Max Museum to see the photos of me, didn't he?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That was it. Yeah, that's what exactly
it was.
Yeah. I thought so. So this film, I have a bit of a memory. We're talking about the film known in Australia as Wrong Bet. This is one film that I have a vivid childhood memory of. I went to the movies and I went to the video shop down in the main street and I hired the new film out called The Quest with Van Damme. I was like, I'm going to have a Van Damme day. So I also hired the film known as Known Mercy, had him on the front looking super cool. Then another front cover, it was same outfit, but you see different pose. And it was a film called Wrong Bet. So I hired Wrong Bet and No Mercy. Got home, watched The Quest, was like disappointed. Watch Wrong Bet. I thought that was fantastic. I bet you this next one's going to be great. And it was, because it was the exact same film. So this one,
4 or 5 different titles.
It had 4 or 5 different titles. In French, it was known as AWOL. In the UK, which not that it really matters what happens there, but it was known as Lion.
Every week.
It was known as Lionheart, and it's a pretty cool movie. It's basically, it's so funny. A lot of these movies you've picked, at the time they were kind of, there was nothing super rocking that. There was something special to them, but they paved the way and almost became a cliche in themselves. So it's basically
they become epic.
A guy runs off from the Foreign Legion, the French Foreign Legion, and he starts making his money in an underground street fight to make money for his brother's family because his brother's been killed.
Yeah, it's a revenge, bit of a revenge thing in this, in there.
Yeah, and so he befriends basically a local former fighter that's really messed up from all the injuries he got fighting, but he basically coaches him and gets him all the fights, and then spoiler alert. He makes the wrong bet while eating a lion's heart.
Yeah, I was going to say, how do the other titles work inside?
Well, I know No Mercy is from the... it's actually part of the chorus of the song that got used throughout the soundtrack.
AWOL.
AWOL is what he does from the Foreign Legion.
From the Foreign Legion, that's right. He goes AWOL.
So yeah, there we have a history of the name of the film.
That's all we know.
Why did you pick this one? You just wanted Van Damme on the list.
You know what? My room was covered with Van Damme pictures when I was growing up because I did martial arts and so on. So I had every Blitz magazine, every martial arts magazine, anything that would have Van Damme on the cover, GQ or whatnot. I didn't care about the magazine. I tore the cover off and put it in a frame and put it on the wall. Didn't even read the book.
I've got to admit, as a child of the 90s, I'm sure I split the crutch of at least one
trying
to do a high kick.
Like Van Damme,
that's definitely. It. But all of his movies kind of blended in together. Kickboxer, Wrong Bet, all of that. Because I don't know if you know, Tom Poe from Kickboxer was one of the Legionnaire coppers that was chasing him to try and get him back. Into the army or whatever.
Pretty sure right at the start that's the dude he holds the knife to get his mail off, like he's one of the MPs for the Foreign Legion.
So they kind of had the thing where all of these dudes, well, especially Van Damme, would have them in his consecutive films. So it used to be really cool.
And he always had those twins with the long Fu Manchu moustache.
The bad guys.
I can't think what they're called, but they're the bad guys in everything that's good. And also in The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy, which isn't good. But Van Damme's...
I have the knife. Sorry.
Van Damme's also the guy that taught you to dance, isn't he?
He did. No, you know what? I taught him. I taught him because, you got
to have your pants right up.
Suspenders with a pair of slacks and a singlet. You could rock the hell out of that. Still can.
Now, I just love, we live in a world where for about 6 months of our lifetime, Van Damme was the Predator.
He was.
Yeah, a horrible... Have you ever seen the thing of the creature that he played? It was ridiculous.
awful,
He looked
wasn't
like
it?
a raptor.
And as soon as he found his face wouldn't be featured, he was like, I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah.
I'm about to be
and
massive.
he didn't get to do a high kick.
Haven't you seen Cyborg? I'm going to be
Haven't
massive.
you seen Breakdance? Remember Breakdance? He's on the strip in LA at Venice Beach in a black leotard, a butcher's leotard, dancing while they're breaking on cardboard. He's in the background there.
Also the Express Yourself film clip from
Yeah,
NWA. He's in that same outfit in the background.
Yep.
Imagine Dancing Predator.
Well, probably my favourite 90s Van Damme movie other than Sudden Death.
Street Fighter.
Oh, that's just all time. I didn't say of all time. I
Is
really
that because it
love
was filmed here in Queensland?
That's right.
It's because of Kylie Minogue.
Yeah,
I'm a big Kylie Minogue
yeah.
fan. I was a massive fan of Hard Target because there's one
That's
scene...
a John Woo film as well, isn't it?
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's John
where
Woo,
the bullet... Yes, it is John Woo.
Yeah.
Where the camera follows the bullet. And that had never been done at the time. And
See, that was John Woo for you. He started... That was, I think, that was his first English feature film. And it was a Van Damme movie. And
I'm more of a fan...
Ing what?
Sorry. I'm more of a fan of him when he's getting people's faces off.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah,
We might
see what he did there? He's clever.
That's why we're running this graveyard. We might move to the next song for the next choice here on Dave's Video Graveyard. 100.5 WOWFM. There we heard from Greg Oldman with the track taken from the next choice from Wayne, 1991. Somewhat of a violent masterpiece, if you ask me.
It really is.
It is Steven Seagal's Out for Justice. Wayne, you're an absolute psycho with your choices, mate.
I was about to say, it's painting a picture, isn't it? I don't know why.
These are all going to be used in a court thing one time. So basically the story of three childhood friends growing up in a very rough part of Brooklyn. They've got their subtle mafia ties because they're in Brooklyn in the 1990s. And basically they grow up. Gino, played by Seagal, becomes a cop. His best mate, just trying to think, Gino becomes the cop.
Juno.
Just trying to think his name.
Pedro, isn't it?
Richie, his best mate, basically becomes a crack seller or a dealer. That's basically how you...
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. That's how you did it in the 90s. You either become a hard cop or you sell drugs. So, and then their other friend also becomes a police officer and
gets murdered.
The film starts with good old mate Richie murdering Laurie, I think it is.
I think that's the name. I
No, Bobby. Sorry, Bobby.
Bobby, that's it, yeah.
All just got that.
Laurie and Juno.
They just sound like extras of The Departed. So basically it starts with Bobby getting murdered and then it starts basically
Steven Seagal killing everyone.
And it has probably my favourite fight scene of a Seagal film where he goes into the pool hole, to ask all Richie's goons.
You really feel it when he smashes that guy in the tube, don't you? With the
nothing like a pool ball in a tea towel.
Well, let's list some of the violence featured in this film. There's a man's leg shot off with a shotgun. Pool ball, like you said.
Multiple limbs.
So many limbs broken over shoulders and stuff.
Living life out of Richie. And then he ends it with a finger bottle opener.
It's one of those films that basically similar, a lot of movies have done it. They set the level of violence, and then everything else after it. If they don't hit that level, then why bother? So I think this contributed a lot to the 1990s violent move.
His were so aggressive; they were full on. I mean, look, a man's running around with a black beret and a black singlet on. You know it's going to be good. Who does that?
Well, no, the way you can a quality control whether a cop film's going to be good or not is if they have their badge on a necklace.
I was just gonna say it. That's something that.
And you know it's going to be boring if they have the guns hanging under their arms in holsters. That's not for me.
It's got to be tucked in the back of your pants. That's what it is.
That's made for TV police cop. But we want the beret.
There's a great car chase in this too. Like, there's a really, really good car chase in this. And it's got everything. It really does.
One main thing sticks out for me. It's before America started cleaning up its own image on film. So all of Brooklyn looks like crap.
Brooklyn is.
It depicted it well.
Yeah, it really did. I was going to say something else I forgot.
Why did you pick this film?
Look, it was The Sound of Music or it was this, so you had to pick one.
So your tape of Sound of Music wore out?
Well, yeah, there was sections that, No, it's, again, Van Damme, Seagal, the Arnold movies, Stallone. It was big time for those action movie guys and so on like that. So it was a natural transition, I think, from watching those and seeing Van Damme do what he does with his beautiful ballet kick and someone going flying. I think, that's lovely. To Seagal snapping a guy's elbow the wrong way and hyperextending it, then flipping him and going, all right, we've gone the next level.
One part of this film that has always stood out for me, and it's like, that guys are going to go see this film. It's 1991. It's a Seagal film. Guys are going to see it. Who are they going to drag along with them? Their ladies. And it's one of those things where it's like, we've got to make him accessible and likable. How we can do that? There is a scene in him discovering a bag of puppies that have been left on the side of the road.
Yeah, the guy chucks the dog out.
So, cut in this ultra-violent film of revenge and of police versus corruption,
Seagal
all this
bonding
stuff.
with a puppy.
He pulls over and gets a puppy just so they could have him every now and then, where the girl's like, why would anyone like this guy that's just shooting people's legs off?
Yeah, and
like,
snapping legs.
Oh, look, there's a dog.
He's just saved a dog's life.
Cute. It's like they should have done it with a lot of his later films as well. It's like, no one cares about you on this train here in Under Siege 2. Here's a bag of puppies.
Steven Seagal and Benji starring in.
Featuring a baby carrier on the front. It's like, now I know why you like him.
You know what? We're going somewhere with this. We could do something with this.
We could sell this. We've just sold this.
That'll bring back his career.
Don't worry about him. I'll do it.
Oh, you want to? I see it. I'm seeing it.
Wayne stars in ultra-violent
Alpha puppies.
Ultra-violent bag of puppies.
But he's such a bitch.
The big dogs in town would be the...
Yes!
We've just...
big dogs in town.
If you're listening, we've copywritten all these ideas.
Yeah.
And, you can't steal these amazing ideas.
You know what? Cabana Productions are all over it right now.
They're
I can
the
see them.
screenplay as we speak.
That's it. So, we might move on to the next choice unless you got anything else.
No, I reckon that's we covered just about everything there. It's a great film. Sorry. Sorry.
Grant, don't scare our guests, please. Moving on, and this next film is a great one to talk about.
Epic!
On paper, I don't know how this film ever got made, but we'll talk about that here on Dave's Video Graveyard. 100.5 WOWFM. For many people, the man that ruined Van Halen. That was Sammy Hagar with Winner Takes It All. And this is from a film. I still do not know how this got made other than the fact like Sylvester Stallone. I don't not like it. The premise is one of those...
the concepts become a film.
The premise is one of those where if it wasn't 1987...
Yeah, right.
Let's just say Batman hadn't made things better yet.
Okay, yeah.
Films didn't have to be fantastic to get made. It was made by Canon Films, of course.
Yeah.
It was one of their biggest things, and they spent so much money on this film that they cut the budget of about 10 other things, including Masters of the Universe.
This?
Yes, for this film.
No.
Well, that's how much Stallone cost, and that was going to sell the movie.
Well, there's not much else in there apart from trucks and an arm wrestling table.
We are talking about the 1987 film Over the Top. Not 1987 film. 1987 professional arm wrestling film.
Yeah.
So the other kind of professional wrestling that Grant could beat you at.
Yeah. I'm looking at the guns there now, and they look like a Nerf gun. That's for sure.
Oh, wow.
Don't you know baby rattlesnakes are more dangerous than adult rattlesnakes, mate? So
it's true.
The
can't control our venom.
What was that in? Because I only saw it this week. The Inhumans.
Right.
So yeah,
I have no idea.
Wow.
Back onto subject.
Yeah, stop
that guy.
Stallone plays a truck driver whose wife leaves him custody of his estranged son, and he wants to make things right and make a bit of money on the world of professional wrestling by heading to the World Arm Wrestling Championship in Vegas, which I believe you've been to.
April. I was there in April on my honeymoon with my beautiful wife, Yvonne. Yes, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure you've been in a professional arm wrestling contest at one point. Is that right? No?
Not that I can recall. I probably wish I had.
Maybe you just wrestled with your professional arms.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'd give it a crack.
So, Over the Top. So, I just don't know. I'll have to revisit it, but how excited can you get for a man to win an arm wrestling contest? But that's
Pretty
why
excited, man.
that's why they throw the son in, because it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
it. That
he
is
got his
where
son
the
back.
emotion
It's
is
The
in this
underdog
film.
story. He's fighting
Yeah.
for his boy. He's fighting
Stallone
for money.
plays-
He's fighting for a truck.
awesomely named Lincoln Hawk.
Lincoln
which
Hawk.
Is,
what a
that
name.
is a great name. Back
Best
in the
name.
days where action stars had
Had
great
awesome
names.
names, yeah.
Casey Ryback.
Yeah,
is,
Casey
you know,
Ryback.
and he goes up against Big Bob Bull Hurley, who's played by Rick Zamwalt, who went on to do not that much, but a lot of roles that Wayne
A
would
lot
be
of
perfect.
stuff. He stole all my stuff. Not happy.
So why did you pick this film? Is it your aversion for professional arm wrestling?
Well, no. It again, action genre. The year that it was made, Stallone. It's the underdog coming back from nothing. And funny enough, it's rather odd that it resonates with me pretty hard, more currently than anything else. That I was a man in that similar situation per se, and did have to fight for my son as well, and I won. So that's the best part about it. So the ultimate fight is for your children, and what I say to a lot of people is never give up on them ever.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and you will prevail. So, but this film in itself, arm wrestling.
I'll stop you quickly there, and can you stop being likable? You're supposed to be the heel on this show, and you just showed everyone your bag of puppies.
I like showing my puppies.
Yeah. So yeah, I just it is a 1987 arm wrestling film, and I can't get past that fact.
A man that wears a leg warmer on his elbow is just
A
the
real
shit.
man, right?
I'm sorry, but you
And
got
posters were the airbrush painting.
Yeah,
of
made it look
the
epic
thing,
as
and it
well.
just
I
looked.
had it.
It's
Had
got
it in
his
my room.
it's got his truck. There's the hood ornament eagle of his truck in the background. His big, massive, veiny arm in the foreground. It's just
fantastic.
I would watch it off the poster alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never revisited it after the first time I saw it, because I have to admit I didn't see Rocky when I was quite young, but Demolition Man made me fall in love with Stallone. So I backtracked. I went back through all his films.
Yeah.
There was some gold. I watched all the Rockies, which were fantastic. I do remember one of them made me cry, and I was like, I'm never watching that
All
again.
of them,
Because when you're a kid and
All
a
of
movie
them.
makes you cry, you're just
you're like,
I don't
I'm
think
a
this
kid.
is a good time.
Can I just raise the point that there's another beret in Demolition Man, by the way?
Beret.
That's it.
You got to have a beret.
gotta have
If
it.
only he had his badge hanging on a neck. But they spent that money on the 3 shells concept.
Yeah.
And
that's
Rob
true,
Schneider.
I've never had the 3 shells.
Yeah, anything more you guys would like to talk about other than actual have a professional arm wrestler right now in the studio?
I knew it was nice. No, could you imagine? Could you imagine? There's not even
This
many
equipment
points.
looks awfully expensive.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm looking at. And Davey said before earlier in the show that he has to pay for anything that breaks.
That's right.
So, for you, mate,
right.
I'll tell you what,
that's
guys,
best.
if anyone's arms go through any equipment in this thing, you'll be following it, because I'll be putting you through it. Except not really, because I'm a pacifist. Even a professional wrestling pacifist. We might move on to the next choice. This is probably the most manliest man film on the list. Absolutely. Not really, but it's the best.
It is.
It's one of those...
Classico.
If you're listening with friends right now, you turn to them and ask them if they like this film. If the answer's no, congratulations, you have one less friend.
Yeah, that's it.
And then send them here so I can sort them out.
Yeah.
Come and see Grant and Wayne.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, Grant and Wayne.
This is Dave's Video Graveyard. Dave's Video Graveyard here on Semaphore's 100.5 WOW FM. There we heard from the theme from the next movie we'll be talking about. It is the Empire Strikes Back of time travel films. Sorry, no, the Empire Strikes Back of time travel films would be Terminated too.
That's true.
So it's the
So
Empire
confused.
Strikes Back of Back to the Future films.
Yeah, that makes sense. This is the best one as well, I think.
I love it. It's the
I think-
darkest one,
yeah,
and
it really is too, yeah.
it's got Boba Fett in it, but not
does.
really. Yeah. So this film's from 1980.
Still confused.
Just follow, just nod.
Get hit in the head a lot.
The next film is from 1989, Back to the Future 2.
Yeah.
You picked a classic.
I did.
man.
I did. To me, it was real. It's very simple. It was real. Back then, at that age, when it came out, I remember seeing the end of the first film, and they cut to the preview of number 2 when it was coming. That was the best part about those films. They always had a good snapshot of the following film. And when I saw that, I just lost it. Because to me, at that, I can't remember what age. I'm not good with calculations. But that was the future. I was going to see the future
Yes.
when that come out. So when he walks through that alleyway where they parked the DeLorean
And
into
reveal
the
Hill
clock
Valley,
square in
yeah.
Hill Valley,
Yeah.
I'm like the hair standing up on the back of my neck, and I'm going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
It's
Yeah,
funny you
you
say
still
that
get
because
that feeling
I got that
today,
feeling as
yeah.
well. Whereas so many people you talk to are like, oh, you know, I picture this bleak Blade Runner style
Yeah.
future that we're heading towards. I'm like, nah,
No, it's Back to the Future.
it's
No
going to
way.
be nice.
Back to the
It's going to be
future.
like a suburban mall.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It's going to be Jaws 16 in the cinema, whatever it was. Is that
Yeah,
what it was?
yeah, the
something like
hologram that
Yeah,
comes
the
from the
hologram
roof
from
and
that,
eats him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was filmed years after the first, but I love, as with Karate Kid 2, it follows right from the point of the
Directly,
first
yeah.
one. You can watch all three if you got that kind of time, and
Yeah.
they all play out.
Doesn't-
But this has always been my favourite.
It's the hoverboards in this one. That's what.
Well,
Watching when I was a
love
kid, it
that
was always the hoverboards.
This
that
is the
just
first
made
film
this
where I
film
saw
great.
where they did the thing where Marty goes back to 1955 and he's in
Yeah.
the background from the first film.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
Yeah.
loved that concept.
That's how they
It just
link it, yeah.
blew my mind, and it was so cool. Then there's the bleak future version where
Biff's
where
the
Biff
man.
takes
Yeah,
over. Donald
Got
Trump.
the
Donald
casino.
Trump's his
That's
way
pretty
into the
much,
story.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
And this is a film that I always also love the story of Crispin Glover asked for way too much money. He
Yeah.
thought because of how well the first one done, he wanted to double his
Yeah, right.
fee for the second. So what they did is they had someone else stand in for him with prosthetic makeups, and because the prosthetic makeups didn't look good enough at the time, they hung him upside down. That's why he's upside down with the bad back for the whole film.
Oh.
It's
Really?
because the makeup effects didn't stand up.
Wow.
And it wasn't until years later that he finally won a likeness rights, because back in the day you could just say you
Yeah.
could just do that kind of thing. But once the laws changed over time, he finally won a lawsuit. And he's also often, because he's quite weird, he said that he'd love to come back and do another. And it's like, you just
suing them.
well, then again, Sable went back to WWE after
She did.
suing. So
Thank God.
stranger things have happened.
Mm-hmm.
She sells T-shirts. Or lack of T-shirts.
She feels t-shirts.
Yes. The special effects for Back to the Future were all handed by Industrial Light and Magic, famous for
all
those Star films you were talking about.
Yeah,
Was
what
it
are they called?
Star Trek?
Yeah.
Spaceballs?
Spaceballs.
That's
yeah.
it.
Spaceballs trilogy. That's it.
That's it.
So, why did you pick this film?
Again, as a kid, to think that I was going to see the future and see it on screen, on film, and believe that that's how it was going to be. That from the hoverboards
Yeah.
to the Nike self-lacing sneakers, the drying jacket,
The awesome Pepsi.
the Pepsi,
Yeah.
the flying DeLorean.
Yeah.
You know, Cafe 80s. If anyone is going to do it, please do it
Please
now.
do it,
Create
yeah.
a Cafe 80s.
Oh, wouldn't that be
And
awesome?
Max
I re-
Headroom and... Oh.
You are not going to have a mainstream movie with the Ayatollah as one of the
No, as the service people.
You are never getting that to happen ever again in film. There's been a lot of controversies behind the scene with the film, but I think all three of them are fantastic.
They're great.
When I was quite young, the third one was my favourite.
Was it really?
But then moved on, and the second one
the
still to
second
this
one's the
day
best.
is my favourite.
Davey likes to wear leather chaps.
Yeah,
that's why.
that's it.
Cowboy.
That's
right,
it.
yeah.
Oh, it's more so I've got a thing for cow manure, but well, that's in all
Manure.
That's in all the films.
Damn manure.
I always loved in part 3. It was like, well, Clint Eastwood's going to be known as the biggest chicken in the West.
Yeah.
Sweet. We might move on
That's
to the
it.
next choice. This is Dave's Video Graveyard. You know when you're talking and something happens and you're not ready for
Yeah.
it? Well, that's not what happened, because
That's
we're
what happened
right
to Grant when he was watching a movie the other night.
Yeah.
We're right on
Wow.
top of it. This is WOWFM, Dave's Video Graveyard. Mine's Out of the Gutter. There we heard from the Corbin Dallas theme of The Fifth Element, which is Wayne's next choice from 1997, back when he was in his early 40s. Why don't you tell us why you picked this film?
Oh, I think we just mentioned it off air. To me, it's Star Wars on acid. It's amazing. You got the characters, the creatures, the space age. It wasn't kid friendly, but it wasn't that bad either. The best way to put it.
That's
But
it. Yeah, it's a fun.
It was edgy.
Yeah. That's it. Edgy.
Edgy
is
was the
what I
best
was
way
trying
to put it.
Yeah.
I had Luke Perry from Beverly
Yeah,
Hills
Luke Perry,
90210.
yeah. Lilo Dallas was just
Amazing.
yeah.
Multi-pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Luke Besson film as well.
And one thing, like nowadays, Bruce Willis just doesn't care, and he phones in all his performances. This was one where he had to pretend not to care. So you don't know if he was a master at his craft or if he just didn't care.
Yeah.
But he got all the one-liners, typical just like scene stealer. And then you got Gary Oldman as well in there, who's always a fantastic bad guy. Obviously, Luc Besson had worked with him previously in Leon the Professional, where he was an absolute psychotic killer. But, you know, this is still good. I said at the time when I saw it, I really couldn't handle Chris Tucker's Ruby Rod, the radio DJ. But I guess I just don't like radio DJs.
Yeah,
I think that's probably.
So
I think it's
Who
more.
Who want to be on radio?
Ruby Rod.
Yeah,
Grant, you
Ruby
could never
Rod.
be Grant Rod. You know that.
No. I wish I could
Grant
remember.
no rod.
Grant Grab Rod.
Grant grabbed.
Grant tripod.
No, we're not going there.
Moving on.
Yeah.
So it's visually it's a fantastic film.
No,
it's
the
really well
design,
written.
Everything about this film is just it's just stylish and clever.
The pacing, everything's really fantastic. And like you said, it universe builds because you believe that this is an existing universe similar to what Star Wars did and what people tell me Star Trek do, but I don't care.
No.
I
That big blue operatic singer, the woman
yeah.
that had the stones in her and all that sort of stuff, where they have to. It's just
And that's
incredible.
such a cool
Some of those
scene.
things.
It really is, yeah.
Who thinks of that stuff?
That's it. Even like we heard the Corbin Dallas theme there. It's all very industrial. It's something different for the time. It wasn't your big score of a film. It was a lot different from what was happening. And Luc Besson apparently wrote that when he was a real little kid, like the actual film. He reckons it's something he'd worked on for a long time. It was made for $90 million, which is massive for a second-time film from a director. And it went on to make 263.9 mil.
Yeah. What about Uncle Benny from Lethal Weapon? He's in it. He's the Chinese man in the ship that floats up to serve him his food at the window.
Yeah.
Uncle Benny. Amazing.
It is just an all-around great
It's
film.
a classic sci-fi.
Breon James from Blade Runner is a good guy. It's a pretty good film.
It's amazing.
Good pick.
Yeah.
It's
Good
almost
choice.
like you picked like one of your favourite films.
Why would I do that?
So we will move on to the next film, I believe, right here on Dave's Video Graveyard. Let's see, what song or film should we go with? Here we go. We might get Feeling Good right here in the studio.
Feeling good.
This is from the Kickboxer soundtrack. Let's get into it here on WOWFM. 100.5 WOWFM. Once again, we have Liftoff. There we heard from the song Feeling Good, which features the dance scene from the next film we're talking about. It is the 1989 classic Kickboxer starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Absolute classic, basically.
It really is, yeah.
Van Damme's brother's a professional fighter, goes over to Thailand to compete in like an underground champion fighting thing, and while he's in the ring, Van Damme's there with him, and the champion fighter defeats him, but then also breaks his back as a little send-off, which then paralyzes Van Damme's brother. So Van Damme vows to go back the following year and avenge his brother, but it basically follows that year of training between the first fight and the second
Doesn't
fight.
he get trained by a mystical wizard or something?
Yeah, basically.
Yoda.
Yoda.
He doesn't train anyone anymore because it's not what he does. But Van Damme's persistence gets him. And then we are treated to some, post-Rocky, but some fantastic training montages, including the kicking down of the palm tree.
That's it,
The offbeat style training. They're putting the stake on the shorts and making Kiki the dog chase him to make him run.
And beyond Travolta, we are treated to some of the greatest action star dance moves in the history of film.
Yeah. Isn't Van Damme an amazing dancer?
That's
amazing.
That's why you picked this film, isn't it?
I did. Look, the first time I saw him in breakdance, I'm like, this dude has got everything. I'm watching every film he's going to make. I don't care what it is.
So many people argue that this is his best film because they clearly haven't seen Street Fighter.
Yeah, right.
But
it's probably his most known for, besides, I guess, Universal Soldier.
It put him on the map, and it was kind of it was late '80s. So then he did the '90s straight to video was his thing. Like for a lot of people, straight to video was almost diminishing or a punishment. him and Chuck Norris basically relished in straight-to-video because it was cheap to make and it turned a profit.
Massive profit.
That was another reason that Cannon Films jumped in on Van Damme, and that they also made this film.
All right,
His posters for the movies were the best too. The kickboxer poster, if you remember, he's just doing a pose on the front with his hands, with the rope and resin, with the glass on there. And you look at that and you think, what the hell? I have to see it.
And that's I remember reading a thing a while back that he always has his left arm forward. That must be his favourite pose.
Really?
And so every poster and every cover he's on, it's always the same arm.
His left tricep is bigger than his right.
And as I said earlier, I think we all split a pair of pants when we were younger trying to do high kicks.
Definitely.
Well, for taking away my punchline, I'm going to try one on your face.
Please.
Is it a high kick if I lie on the back on the ground?
And he falls on your leg?
Does that count? Because I'm a bit tired. I love this film. It was made for absolutely nothing at the time, which 2.7 million.
That is nothing.
That was Canon money. That's
where did that go? It was made in Thailand.
I know. That was the flights.
That and the cheap entertainment.
The companionship. Went on to make 14.7 million just in the US, which then got a wider release because Canon could only afford to release like in America and stuff. They then used the money it made in America to whether they'd think. Went on to make 50 mil worldwide, which on a budget of 2 mil.
That's all right.
49 million out of Thailand. See my sister on the big screen. She the one with the crystal gel. That her.
Moving on. So did I ask you why you picked this one? I don't really care.
We've just been talking about it.
Probably not. But what about you, Davey? Why do you like this film?
Because of the dancing and because
of the dancing.
We were all convinced that we're going to go on to be Van Damme. Like anyone that watched the Van Damme movies in the 80s or 90s. They were like, oh yeah, I'll go to school, I'll try and stuff, but I've got to get back to high kicking because that's where my life is leading.
I'm going to join Bob Jones or Jet Kundu.
Well, I actually thought at one point I was going to find out about my twin brother at some point that was living an alternative life, and we're going to have to go avenge our real parents. But that still haven't got that goal. Yeah. Still haven't got that goal.
But you knew how to drive one of those boats too.
I know. If anyone sees a super duper attractive ranger out there in the world, he may be looking for his long lost brother. Give me a call here on
there's one out there.
We have found him.
That's a word that we can use, guys. Right. So, hey, that's our word. You can't use it.
Oh, sorry.
You're mousy brown.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, what's up? I'm glad I'm not Ranger then.
no ginge.
This is Dave's Video Graveyard. We might move on to the next film on our list.
Song, or just going straight into it?
Actually, I think I might play a few ads because it, keeps things moving. This is Dave's Video Graveyard. 100.5 WOWFM. There we heard from the Coupe de Villes featuring John Carpenter. It is Big Trouble in Little China. The next pick, which is, I'll go as far as to say, top 2 of my favourite films ever. So kudos to that. Wayne, why did you pick this absolute classic that was considered an absolute flop to begin with?
How can you not pick Jack Burton? The Pork Chop Express. It's just the ultimate. I wanted the boots that he had.
Yes.
Keep the knife in the side of the boot, the big suede.
The moccasin Ugg boot type thing with the laces all the way up.
And the singlet with the...
I wanted the bad guys' sunglasses from the airport.
Those were the things with the stripes.
Bebop from Turtles.
And then Lopan was just such a great heel. He was amazing.
Yeah. So many people consider this film to be style over substance because Carpenter always put a lot of effort into things like that. Then they feel like, oh, you didn't write the movie, but you come up with all these things. One of the gods went on to be the idea taken and copied and used for Mortal Kombat.
Is it Raiden?
Yeah, that's where we got Raiden from.
Yeah.
It's just an absolute classic. Great in this film. And Kurt Russell plays, in my mind, Kurt Russell in this.
Perfect.
I saw him a few years ago on Graham Norton, and he's like, they're like, what film does most come up? Is it Escape from New York? And he said, well, actually, no. He goes, the one that most people quote to me is Big Trouble in Little China.
It's all in the reflexes.
And he's like, has anyone seen it?
It's all in the reflexes.
He's like, has anyone seen this film? And the crowd just lost it.
It's the best.
It is a great film. It's that for a John Carpenter film, there's quite a bit of, I guess, visual effects in this. There is a fair bit
it visually looks really fantastic. There's so many cool themes. I'd put this in the same kind of thing. You could sit down with your family and watch Gremlins and then watch this film. It has that mystical, but still, like
it's kind of family friendly, but kind of not at the same time.
No, exactly.
You can,
when they're in that water and they're all the dead bodies on the spikes and that was a bit freaky for me when I first saw. Like, whoa!
I remember the Guardian, the eyeball, eyeball monster. That was pretty scary at the time. And then the big like werewolf type thing that's in the open ending on the pork chop express.
Can we say the ginger monster?
Yes, we can say that.
I thought I'd ask.
We're all friends here. We're friends here. It's our word, but you guys can borrow it.
There you go.
We can say ginger.
As I said, it was commercial failure. Made $11 million after it was made for $25 million. But it went on to be an absolute classic. Made triple its money on video. Halfway through making this film, Eddie Murphy film The Golden Child got released. Well, it got announced and it had already been finished filming. So out of panic, they basically made John Carpenter finish it within like a couple of months rather than he was going to take a year to film it. And they're like, you've got 2 months to have this ready because we need
What would you have done with that time?
Yeah, we need to basically get this out to combat the next Eddie Murphy vehicle being a, a stylized
which one's
the
Golden Child? I can't remember.
It's the one where the Golden Child gets kidnapped and Eddie Murphy gets hired as a detective to go save him. And it's very Big Trouble in Little China if Eddie Murphy didn't care. He's even gone on record saying it was a paycheck. So doesn't. He screws his face up at a lot of the other acting, like in the film. He laughs when he's not like it. Something that's meant to be played straight. He found it so funny and judgy. And at the time, it was Eddie Murphy.
Damn you, Eddie.
Could do whatever he wanted.
Cut.
But this is one of my favourite films, and if you don't like it, you have to fight Wayne. In a professional arm wrestling contest.
Grant hates it, I can see.
I love it. It's so good. It's my favourite of all time. I actually do love this film. It is great.
It is.
I love it, man.
It is magic, and there were rumours for a while that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would be taking the role of Jack Burton in a remake / reboot.
I can kind of see it, but I still don't want it to be remade.
Well, that's all right, because they've actually signed me.
I see it. I'll see that.
I thought it was going to be good, but now I know it's
I'll make those boots look good, don't worry.
That's it. You need the moccasins.
Exactly.
And see, that's another thing, like Kim Cattrall was the love interest. She was in everything. It's like, oh, who have we got in this? Oh, just put the mannequin chick in everything.
The mannequin chick.
The chick with green eyes to the loose woman in that woman's TV show that I'm not going to say that I know the name of.
Yeah, me neither. Never heard of it.
No.
Who's Samantha?
Watch on Channel 11 every night.
Who's Samantha?
You're such a carrier.
Sam Fox. No, wrong one. Sorry.
So the good thing is, nothing like when the director releases a hit track theme song for his own
movie.
film.
Did he write that? He wrote that as well, did he?
Yes.
He actually wrote that song, John Carpenter.
Yeah. The Coupe de Villes is his band, and he did the scores for most of his films.
All of his films, pretty much,
including The Thing, and awesome film.
Where have you been? Didn't you know that? Supposed to be some radio host.
I did.
I thought you were into movies.
I am. I knew. I was just keeping the conversation flowing.
Well, you didn't. You just upset our guest.
I'm so sorry.
I've seen paint dry with more substance.
You are just like Dave. You know that. Just like Dave.
Funny. He used to manage me, so I wonder where that comes from.
He means you're super attractive, surely.
I
Obviously.
thought so, yes.
Obviously.
Moving on to the next... Actually, you know what I said? I talked about action stars that can dance a little bit earlier. I totally forgot the actor of the next film we'll be talking about. But we'll come back and talk about that in great length right here on The Graveyard. Now, I'll just find the song.
Find the song, yeah.
100.5 WOW FM. There we heard from Five Finger Death Punch with Bad Company. Because this next film is all about quite bad company.
You tried to connect.
Nice segue.
That song was not just a random song that I played between things to do with at all.
Film, does it?
Shut up.
Sorry.
This film is from 1989 and it features everyone's favourite ballet action star. We're talking about Patrick Swayze.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us what the film is, Wayne?
The film is every bouncer's training movie. before you go to work.
How Stella got a groove back.
Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, you're getting ready for work. You pop that in the DVD player or the old JVC VCR.
Flashdance.
Get wound up, ready for work. It's this is the handbook for bouncing.
Yeah.
Featuring Sam Elliott and Patrick Swayze. We're talking about Roadhouse.
Never forget Terry Funk. Terry Funk was in this as a bad guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't know who Terry Funk is? You're going to talk about my segues, and let's talk about Terry
Funk. Stand up for a second.
No, please don't.
Action film directed by Rowdy Herrington, starring Patrick Swayze as a bouncer at a newly refurbished roadside bar that's trying to raise its profile because it's had a bit of a rough trot. I always love the visuals of the band have to play inside of basically the massive chicken
the chicken wire, yeah.
Just while everyone throws bottles at them, and it is such a product of its time and place, because if you went to some execs now and you went, right, I've got this film, it's for middle-aged men, it's for teenagers, they're going to love it. It's about a bouncer. And it's like, oh,
bouncer
okay.
Roadhouse. It is a good roundhouse kick.
Well, the 2007 version of Roadhouse, 2017, would be called, like, Coward Punch.
No headlocks, nothing above the shoulders.
Yeah. Cowie.
You must wear a badge.
And it would star... I don't know. I don't even care.
Shia LaBeouf.
That makes sense.
I see it. I can see that.
You're gonna finance it, aren't you?
Shia LaBeouf and Roadhouse remake.
Sam Elliott plays the always awesome, slow-talking... he basically trains Patrick Swayze how to bounce.
Yeah.
And he basically just roundhouse kicks everybody in this movie.
Pretty much.
It was paid out and laughed about on Family Guy a lot, but it's pretty much how the film is. And it is so macho. Like, it's one of those just...
Patrick Swayze's jeans are so tight in this film. That's how macho it is.
Why did you notice that?
Who does it?
I didn't, Dave.
I hadn't noticed.
No. You don't notice how tight his jeans are?
No.
No. I was in it for the story, but...
I just liked it that he'd rock up in his nice... What do you have, a BMW, I think?
Yeah.
He'd go to the car yard, buy the shittiest car he could find that have... light protectors, fill it up with spare tyres and everything, just so he could drive that car to work so that his other car wouldn't get trashed. That's how you do it. That's why I bought a Fiat to drive to work.
It was made for 15 mil, went on and doubled its budget, and
it was the tight jeans.
It is. I'm pretty sure it's got to be R-rated, surely, because this film is super violent and
where he tears the guy's throat out.
Very rude.
Very graphic.
Which I always loved that they reference it in the movie MacGruber, because he's always talking about trying to get a throat rip in.
And it's got a monster truck in it. What more do you want?
It is a product of its time and place. There's always a movie every week we say that about, but this is such an 80s film. And, I also feel it's a film where, like, chicks would have gone to be like, oh, he's from Dirty Dancing. I love him.
Let's go see that
because, he'd done The Outsiders and a few other things, but it was like, this put him on the action map. He didn't do much with it after that. Remember Black Dog?
I don't know.
He was a trucker versus, like, Meatloaf.
Really?
It was like late 90s. It was real terrible.
Yeah, they did make a Roadhouse too.
Wow.
And it was horrible. Yeah. I don't even know who was in it. I can only tell you there was around Roadhouse.
You didn't get the call-up?
No.
It's because your jeans are baggy.
Yeah, I didn't like tight
jeans.
Pants. I'm not a tight jeans kind of guy.
You're a chaps kind of guy.
Well, you see what tight jeans attract.
There we go. The cheapness shots have continued.
Low blow.
So that is your 12, basically. We've managed to smash through them. Yeah, it's funny what you can do with 2.5 personalities. And
don't talk about it like that way.
Point no.
No, if we're talking about me, there's about 4 in there. No worry.
Yeah. So we had Rocky 3 and 4, Lethal Weapon, Any Given Sunday, Wrong Bet, Out for Justice, Over the Top, Back to the Future 2, Fifth Element, Kickboxer, Big Trouble in Little China, finishing things out with Roadhouse.
We had a great list tonight.
We did. That was
some really
we
good
definitely steered away from what we would have picked. Maybe we'll have to try again.
Yeah.
Of course, next week we have Monty Lashes and Joey from the band The Babes. They'll be in talking about their films. But before Wayne goes, you've got a few big shows coming up.
Yeah, I do. October 28 over in Perth, Western Australia.
Is Persis a place in...
Australia.
I'm going to Perthia.
28th of October, I go one-on-one with Scott Steiner for the AEW heavyweight title. I have to defend it against the ex-WCW heavyweight champion.
Late 80s WWF fame, WCW, Big Papa
Big
Pump.
Papa Pump.
He, I'll show you a photo after.
Yeah.
His arms are bigger than my torso.
Big? Wow.
Were.
Yeah. And
then after that, we go we go to Melbourne, November 18th for PCW Bullet Click Invasion. We go over there and we take over PCW. We're taking the whole crew. The 9 of us are going over there to teach these Melbourneites how to put a beat down on someone.
Awesome.
So it should be good. Then from there, December 1st over to Sydney.
should Grant clear his schedule, or you don't need the heavy hitters? Do you need the heavy hitters?
Well, you know what? He can clear his schedule so I can clear the floor with him. I think that'll be a nice one.
I'll put my Patrick Swayze jeans on.
Patrick, you'll need them. You'll need them.
They're just Barbie doll jeans. There we go.
A few big weeks coming up for myself and the lads. So it'll be pretty exciting, very exciting for me to face Scott Steiner. That's for sure. One of the guys I used to look up to, just because of the sheer mass, the size of him, and the attitude that he just didn't give a crap about anything. So, two guys that are going to be like that. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Well, he's definitely, I guess, a loose unit would be a nice way of putting it.
A loose unit.
The lines blur a lot with the violence of Scott Steiner, so you definitely got your work cut out for you.
Sounds like a good Saturday night to me.
That's it. I'm sure you could do it. Put on your Roadhouse pants.
Yeah. Roadhouse pants with a pair of chaps and say my name's Grant.
That's it. Grant.
Do it.
With that perfect accent. I didn't know who was talking then.
Is that just like me?
Well, we might leave it there. Thank you so very much for joining us, Wayne. Where can people check you out one more time, other than out of their moving car? Where can people check you out?
Look, Facebook, you can search Wayne the Maniac Mattei. You can search The Bullet Click. You can search Instagram, Hell's Vigilante. You can attempt to find me in the latest Pirates of the Caribbean film too.
Really?
I'm in there, plus a few other different movies that are around the place. Absolutely.
Are you Captain Wheelbarrow?
Captain Wheelbarrow. I'm one of those, what is it, ghost pirates where half the face is missing, so you don't even know it's me.
Is that for real? That's really awesome.
I am in the film, yes I am.
And if you're watching, do you know what film I'm in?
What?
None.
No.
But if you're out there making a film and you want me, just give me a call. We could do a life story about all the awesome tricks that I can do on skateboards and stuff.
Can you still do all that?
What else do kids like?
Fidget spinning.
Fidget spin.
Spinners. What else do kids like? You've got kids.
I can watch other people do things on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's what kids are about.
Yeah, my son.
Anyway, this is Dave's Video Graveyard. Massive thanks to Wayne the Maniac for joining us in his last few moments of consciousness before Grant has his way. This has been a fantastic episode. Make sure you join us next week from 8 p.m. right here on 100.5 WOWFM.